Hi everyone, it's Jackie from RoseGoldLibrary, and it's nice to see you all again. I have decided to go with a new project this year that I hope that I will actually keep, which is going to be fun. I am going to be starting to do a book journal, reading journal type of situation, and if you notice, this book is actually from another video that I did, the journal, about reusing journals, so I hope that you'll also enjoy that video. But for right now, I'm going to be focusing on the current book that I'm reading that I just finished, called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I was on the waiting list for this book since essentially when the book first came out in 2022. And this is the library receipt that I got, the original one. And I'm super excited to actually had read it and actually put it on paper because this book actually was a big eye opener. I was a fan of Jennette McCurdy's work and iCarly and other works, mainly iCarly because that's what I grew up on. And Sam and Cat because I remember the controversy, like hearing it from like my friends in the playground. Not playground, but like outside during recess or like our breaks and stuff about Sam and Cat and about what was going on. So, hearing the perspective that Jennette had during those events was a big eye opener for me. As well as, I'm trying to put it into words because I don't read memoirs, at least for recreationally, like for fun. I don't read those types of books, mainly because I find it not weird, but like I feel like I'm reading someone's journal sometimes, and it feels weird to me. So I have not really read memoirs in a non-academic setting. So it was a fun change for me. This is like a new year for beginnings. So reading I'm Glad My Mom Died was an interesting title in my household. When I was reading this, it was just uh, what was I reading was the main question when I had this book. And I would say that a lot of what Jennette has gone through, it was put in like in words that I did feel like I was reading her diary, and it felt like I was having a conversation, at least hearing, because I tend to listen to podcasts, and I know that if you're a big fan of audiobooks, she did do the audiobook version of this book. You actually heard it in Jennette McCurdy's voice, and that was real interesting to note. But when I was reading this book, I had no intention to actually put it in this journal spread. And I decided to go out because I do know other people have done journal spreads, at least with this book, on my Instagram. So I decided to go along and write quotes like that I did feel that were personal, or just kind of quotes that took me out in the sense of I had no idea this has gone through, or quotes that I have no idea that this situation could exist and that I personally relate to. But what I also did that I'm trying to see if I could do it with the other books that I hopefully will read during this year are the first and last words or sentences, since I personally like to look at the first words and the last words, and also it's just a great way to see the overarching events that happen, because the prologue and then the last words that were said in the book, there's so much to unpack in the 300 or so pages that you will not believe happened. And so that's what I felt when I was doing my writing for this journal. When I was doing this journal spread, I was not really paying attention to at least the camera work, which is why you'll see on the screen why it looks so bad. I apologize. But also, I felt really connected in that moment, since I was focused onto what words that I wanted to put on the paper. And actually looking through the book again, I would also say that when I was reading this book out, I was talking to my friends about it and how they heard Jennette's story from like other creators, and but never heard it from herself because they never really had time. So I was recommending this book, and it was just kind of a fun thing because some people in my friend group were an Ariana stan, but they only heard what was happening in the book from the memes out of context. But when I was like on the page, I showed them the context and they were just amazed because a lot of people in my friend group has watched iCarly and we don't know what was going on behind the scenes because we were like little kids and we did not have any access to those types of like big movie star headquarters type of information. So of course we didn't know what was going on. So for the thoughts section, I put in my own personal feelings because I mentioned before how I never read memoirs, mainly because I feel like I'm reading like someone's personal diary, but it was also kind of weird at the same time because obviously they have publishers, they have editors helping them, and it was also just kind of a weird experience for me in general. But I did give it a 5 out of 5 because it's my first memoir of the year and I did enjoy it, even though I did cry multiple times. So that was it. I also kind of like wrote down my own personal feelings so you can see on screen. Also, I apologize greatly for my atrocious handwriting, which it's not good, but you know what? I can read it and my professors can barely read it, so that's fun. What I also did was what I recommend is just kind of a little thing that I like to do, at least if I forget if what was in the contents of this book. If I forget, it's a great story of her life in terms of writing, but also it is dark and it does have what, for at least in my friend group, will be a lot of major trigger warnings. So it is something to note because what I noticed, at least on TikTok, people did not disclose certain warnings, which unfortunately, at least on my For You page on TikTok, not a lot of people disclose what will be considered like a trigger warning for people, and they just leave it as a surprise. So that was that. But I also wanted to do something a little bit fun based on the cover because it's a pink urn on a cover with the classic, at least for my opinion, because I grew up on this, like Nancy Drew type of yellow and like pink. It's really girly. I love it. The energy, it's immaculate, and I'm just glad for Jennette McCurdy that she managed to get out her story. And to my knowledge, based on the book, she's living her best life and sold out shows based on the little description. And I do know she has like a show that was based on the same name. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed looking at my spread and my little opinions on this. And I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. And just give me any recommendations that you would like to see. Goodbye.